Hey everyone, let's talk about the new Bona Belt UX. Now you may be thinking this looks a lot like our old Bona Belt HD, and you wouldn't be far off, but what we've done is we've taken a lot of the features and benefits of that HD base. We've also brought over some of our favorite features and benefits from our old Bona Belt machine, and then we've even added some features and benefits that you guys, our users and customers, have suggested to us over the years. So the first thing that we've got from the HD base is the 3.7 kilowatt 5 horsepower motor. And why this is important for you guys is it's one of the strongest motors out there. And whether you're doing a wide plank floor like this that maybe even has some water damage, a newly installed unfinished floor, you've got a gym floor or a small stage where you're trying to sand off 15, 20 layers of finish, this unit and this motor is not going to bog down on you during those tough jobs. We've also incorporated and saved from the HD perhaps the most innovative feature in the industry, and that's the 2-speed pulley system. So when it's in the coarse mode, it spins about 1,850 RPMs. And again, that's for those unfinished floors, rough floors. I've got to do a 45 on this to get everything off, get it flat. Spinning a little slower actually helps keep it more aggressive and digging into the floor versus spinning faster and burnishing everything off. Yet, when you get to that final sanding mode, again, it may depend on what species you're working on. Then you can change the belt over to the fine mode. That spins a couple hundred RPMs faster at about 2020. And that just helps you slick that floor off faster with a finer grit of sandpaper than leaving it in that coarse mode. Along with that, we've also brought over, the 8-inch drum from the Belt HD, a great platform, a great drum, a really nice diameter on that to be running your belts on. And we've got the biggest diameter travel roller in the industry, and that's going to do a couple things for you. One, the more surface area between the drum and the travel roller that I can keep in contact with my sanding belt while it's running, the less chance I have of my belt fluttering and causing chatter on the floor. So having the beefiest travel roller in the industry is going to do a couple things for you. One, it doesn't tend to spin as fast because you've got more surface area. So that's going to help your belts run cooler. They're going to be less clogging. And that will also happen with your travel roller too. Not only the outside, but also the internal components. So any bearings, anything else you've got in there, they are not going to be spinning as fast, reducing the wear on them, giving you a longer life overall on your travel roller, inside and out, and all the components within it. So your tracking is still done with just the simple bolt system on this side. So with the wrench from our tool bag, we can bring a new belt in or out, or however, if we have to adjust it at all, with just this simple mechanism on this side. And we've also got our wall guide over here that you can adjust out. Make sure that this is running along the wall versus the machine scraping along a wall while you're running it. It's also easily still broken down or taken down into 3 different parts. I can remove the motor, then I can have a separate chassis. I can take my pipe and my handle off here. So if I'm working by myself, it's easy then for me to transport this up and down stairs, maybe even in and out of my truck if I don't want to muscle the whole thing out of there, by taking the motor off, taking my pipe and handle off, and having the chassis separate as well. And overall, we've still got that really nice 187-pound overall weight, aggressive enough to really do that job, but also a little bit re-engineered and balanced so that we're taking some of that weight in the machine, making sure it's concentrated up over the top of the drum, which is where we need it for it to do the work that we're asking this machine to do. So those are the features that we kind of brought over. Now let's talk about some of the new features that we've integrated into this machine as well. So the first is the built-in carry handle, right? So it just flips straight up like that. Now if I've got, one of my guys on the front, I'm on the back, we can easily pull it out of the van or the truck like that. Also up and down stairs or carrying it in and out of the job site. Easy to do with this built-in carry handle. We also brought from the Bona Belt system the wheel and tire platform, just because we thought it was a more stable base, still non-marking urethane wheels, but we just like the diameter of these better. They seem to work better even on this system. So we've integrated that over here from the Bona Belt system. We've also optimized this for dust containment with now a brush skirt on the side of the drum chamber and on the front of the drum chamber, helping keep all that dust inside till it can get sucked in, up through the vacuum, through the tube, up to the DCS tube adapter. So we can put our hose on here, clamp it on. You can still run it with a bag if you want to on this and tie it around this channel up here, but really we're focused on mainly running this thing with dust containment and have tried to optimize it to that degree. That also makes this machine Green Guard certified and makes it part of that whole Bona Green Guard certified system that we hold for indoor air quality. We've also moved all the adjustments to the top. So if I want to adjust the cut of my drum, and we typically recommend that it's cutting flat, but I may want to have it cut a little heavier on the right side for some jobs, especially if I've got bad water damage, a new install with a lot of over-under wood. So to do that, I'm going to loosen this nut. I'm going to back the bolt out a little bit. What that'll do is drop my chassis down and drop my whole drum down a little bit on my right-hand side. Tighten that nut back up, and then I've adjusted the cut of my drum. Obviously, you can do it the other way, bring it back to the left if you need to flatten it, or if you prefer or have a reason where you need it to cut heavier on the left, you could do that as well. We've also got our drum pressure adjustment. So we call this an infinite adjustment, even though it's not quite infinite. But the point is, it's just not 3 or 4 or 5 settings. We do have it marked for coarse, medium, and fine on here as well. But depending on what species I'm working on, depending on what the condition of my floor is, depending on how I want it to finish off or what grit I'm using, you've got anywhere where you can dial it in, right? We say an infinite amount of adjustments, but you've got a lot of options there in order to adjust your drum pressure. You're not just limited by 3 different positions on the machine. We've also got an integrated tool bag on the back, right? It's one of those little things that, just snaps on and off the motor, but it's nice when you have to make an adjustment or, do a simple repair on your machine that all your tools are right here. I don't have to go hunt around in my toolbox or out in the van or whatever. Just keep your tools on the back of the machine and they'll always be there when you need them. The other thing we've integrated into the unit is this multimeter, which is nice because then I can see what volts I've got coming through, what hertz I'm operating on, and how many hours I've accumulated over time. So maybe I can work that into the maintenance of the unit overall. So we've also integrated the soft start into our machine, which has been instrumental or a part of the European or global machines for a long time. Now instead of just going from off to on, which is harder on your motor and your start capacitors, now I go from off to start and hold it there while the unit is ramping up. Then as soon as it gets up to run speed, which is usually only 2 to 3 seconds, I can release it into the start position. What that again does is it just saves on the wear and tear on my windings, on my start capacitor, and gives me less maintenance and cost over the life of the unit. Then we also thought an important dust containment design was the hose and cord holder. So we used to just have a cord holder on here, but everything's dust containment these days. So now whether I'm running it on the right side, my cord goes in here, I've got my lower slot to drape my hose through, or when I want to bring it over to the other side, I just reverse this. Now I've still got my cord holder here. I'm dropping my hose into the lower chamber here. Just helps keep everything out of the way and kind of organized. So now let's talk about the feather handle feature. First of all, we've got a safety on here, so while it's engaged, I can't accidentally knock this down, whether it's me, one of my helpers, a little kid who happens to be messing with the machines. I've got to pull out my safety. That'll release my feather handles. And this is our new wide grip dual feather handle that won't pinch either. So I can operate this with my left hand, right hand, both hands, and the spacing in here is enough that when I pull this back, if I've got a full grip on the handle with my other hand, it's not going to pinch my fingers in between. Nice little feature that you guys may have experienced on some other machines. Hopefully we took care of that issue for you here. And the last feature is just the adjustability of the pipe and my working handles themselves. So I can adjust the height. I've got about 2 inches to work with here, that if I loosen this collar, and disengage my travel arm, I can bring my handles, adjust them up and down about 2 inches if I'm a little shorter, if I'm a little taller, whatever you find most comfortable for you to work with. Then you can adjust your travel arms here, re-engage those, you're ready to go. But the other thing I can do with that is change the position of my pipe. So what I can do is I can loosen it at the bottom, again disengage my travel arm, and now I can take the pipe and change it to a 45-degree angle here, I can change it over here, I can put it all the way in the back corner on either side. I typically like to have it right in the middle, whether I'm working with it as a bag sander or as a dust containment sander, but you may want to change that, so you can do that. If I loosen up the collar at the bottom, again disengage my travel arm, now I can change that angle. Then I can change this collar here, get that again so it's running north and south, tighten everything up, and now I've changed the angle of the pipe. I've still got my feather handles in the right position to operate, and I'm ready to go. So just another nice little feature that we worked into this machine. So that's the Bona Belt UX. We think it's the perfect combination of production and performance. And we think when you take it out and run it, you'll find that it's the smoothest, safest, and most reliable sanding machine on the market to help you produce those beautiful hardwood floors. And we think you're going to want to add one to your sanding arsenal as soon as possible.